Stop explaining yourself. Just focus on your plans. There comes a time in every person's life when they must make a decision. Will you live for approval or will you live for purpose? See, too many people waste the best years of their lives explaining themselves. Explaining why they dream so big, explaining why they're working late nights, explaining why they're not going to every gathering, not picking up every call, not living the way others expect them to. Let me tell you something. You don't owe anybody an explanation for chasing your greatness. They won't understand, and they're not supposed to. People can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. So if someone hasn't dared to dream, they'll never understand why you're so passionate. If someone has never walked away from comfort, they'll never understand why you're choosing discomfort for the sake of growth. And yet we explain, we justify, we apologize for being focused. We shrink to make others comfortable. We keep handing over the steering wheel of our destiny to people who aren't even going where we're going. But the truth is, no one sees your vision the way you do because it wasn't given to them. It was given to you. So stop explaining, stop begging for permission. The ones who truly support you, they don't need the blueprint. They don't need the pitch deck. They don't need the schedule or the timeline. They believe in you because of your energy, your consistency, and your unwavering belief in what you're building. Focus on your plan, protect it like it's sacred, because it is. You see, when a seed is planted, it doesn't need to prove that it will become a tree. It simply needs the right environment, water, light, and time. The same is true for your dreams. You don't need validation, you need vision. You don't need applause, you need alignment. You don't need to explain, you need execution. Now, I know how hard it is when people doubt you. I know the sting of being misunderstood, underestimated, overlooked. But remember this, the world doesn't reward people who explain. It rewards people who deliver. So focus. Put your head down and do the work. Let your results speak the language your words never could. Let your peace irritate those who once expected chaos. Let your transformation be the only speech you ever give again. You don't have time to be convincing people when you should be creating. You don't have energy to waste trying to be understood by people who don't even understand themselves. Let go of the need to be liked. Let go of the need to be approved. Let go of the need to explain every decision you make. You're not selfish, you're not rude, you're not arrogant, you're just focused, and that intimidates people who are scattered. So choose your future over their feelings. Choose your progress over their opinions. Choose your peace over their approval, because when the dust settles, when the lights dim, when the crowd leaves, it's just you and the life you've built. And you'll be so glad you chose silence over explanation, clarity over confusion, and purpose over people-pleasing. Let the work speak. Let the glow speak. Let the legacy speak. Stop explaining yourself. Just focus on your plans. Your vision was given to you, not to them. That dream in your heart, that fire that keeps you awake at night, that picture you hold so dearly in your mind, it's not random. It's not a fantasy. It's a calling, a responsibility, a path carved out just for you. And here's the thing, not everyone is meant to understand it because it wasn't given to them, it was given to you. We live in a world that constantly pressures us to explain why we're different, why we dream so big, why we're not settling, why we don't fit into their expectations. But let me tell you something powerful. You were never meant to fit into their mold. You were born to break it. When you carry a bold vision, whether it's to build something, to become something, or to leave behind something, people will question you. They'll wonder why you don't take the easy route. They'll ask why you're not more realistic. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're too intense, too ambitious, too much. But remember this, their confusion is not your concern. Your job is not to make your vision make sense to people who were never assigned to it. Their map doesn't include your destination. Their fear does not cancel your faith. Their small thinking is not the measuring stick for your big life. Most people can't see past their own comfort zone, so they project that limitation onto you. And if you're not careful, you'll start shrinking your vision just to make them comfortable. You'll start delaying your progress just to stay relatable. You'll start dimming your light just so it doesn't make them squint. But what's the cost of that? You weren't born to live a life that pleases the crowd. You were born to fulfill a calling that speaks to your soul. And the moment you start trading that calling for comfort, you'll feel the weight of regret pressing against your chest. Understand this, every vision has a gestation period. Just like a baby is formed in the womb long before the world sees it, your dream is growing in silence, in darkness. In the unseen spaces of your life, you're building something no one else can see, and that's okay. They're not supposed to see it yet. That doesn't make it any less real. That doesn't mean it won't come to pass. You don't need a round of applause to get started. You don't need a green light from the world to move forward. You don't need permission to be who you were born to be. You need trust, not from others, but from within. Trust that you are enough. Trust that your instincts are sacred. Trust that what you feel pulling at your heart every day is there for a reason. You see, the problem is we've been taught to crowdsource our confidence. We let other people's opinions become our compass. We let doubt creep in every time someone raises an eyebrow or questions our path. But the truth is, they don't know what's inside you. They didn't see the nights you cried. They didn't see the mornings you got up and kept going. They didn't see the years of silent effort and quiet hope. They didn't see the breakthrough you prayed for, the courage you cultivated, or the inner battles you won. So why would you let them define your vision? You must stop looking for understanding in people who were never meant to walk your path. Some of them are too afraid to pursue their own dreams, so watching you chase yours is a reminder of everything they ran away from. And that fear, it's loud. It disguises itself as advice, as concern, as love. But real love doesn't need to understand everything. It simply supports. You don't need a crowd. You need clarity. You don't need consensus. You need conviction. You don't need their understanding. You need your own belief. You were chosen for something bigger, and big dreams come with big resistance. That's not a sign to stop. That's a sign you're on the right track. Stop explaining, stop defending, stop asking for cosigns. If they don't see it, fine. If they don't get it, fine. If they laugh at it, fine. None of that changes the fact that your vision is still alive, still valid, still waiting on you to show up. This is your time to stop looking around and start looking within. This is your time to protect the dream that was planted in your soul. This is your time to walk in alignment, not approval. Because your vision wasn't given to them. It was given to you. You do not need permission to grow. You do not need approval to become everything you were created to be. And yet so many of us are stuck, not because we lack the ability, not because we lack the opportunity, but because we're still waiting for someone to say, it's okay to become more than you were yesterday. But hear this, your life is not on lease. You are not here to live within the comfort zone of someone else's expectations. You do not need to explain your evolution to anyone who benefits from your stagnation. There will be people who say you've changed, and you have, you're supposed to. Growth is not betrayal. Growth is required. You're not here to keep making everyone else comfortable while suffocating your own spirit. You're not here to fit into a version of yourself that no longer aligns with your vision. Some people will never understand why you're working harder, thinking deeper, dreaming bigger. They won't understand the late nights, the solitude, the sacrifices. They won't get why you stopped showing up in places that drained you, or why you started setting boundaries they never thought you'd dare to. But guess what? They don't have to. You're not obligated to make your transformation digestible for people who refuse to grow with you. Let them misunderstand. Let them judge. Let them gossip. That's their assignment. Yours is to rise. So many dreams have died in the waiting room of permission. So many visions buried under the weight of someone else's doubt. But not yours, not this time. This time, you walk forward without asking if it's okay. This time, you choose to become, whether or not anyone claps. Understand this, growth is often lonely because elevation separates. The higher you go, the thinner the air, the fewer the people. But don't confuse loneliness with being lost. You're not lost, you're just rising. You're moving into a space that requires new habits, new mindsets, new standards, and yes, new people. The people meant for your next chapter will not be confused by your growth. They won't guilt you for evolving. They won't ask you to explain why you want more for yourself. They will recognize your hunger, respect your process, and cheer you on without needing every detail. And if you haven't found those people yet, be your own support system until they show up. You don't need to justify your hustle. You don't need to justify your ambition. You don't need to justify your discipline. We live in a world where mediocrity is celebrated and consistency is questioned. People will cheer louder for your downfall than they ever did for your courage. But if you can stay focused in the silence, if you can keep showing up when nobody sees you, if you can keep working when nobody claps, you will make it. You have one life. Not a rehearsal, not a preview. This is it. So why are you asking for permission to live it fully? You don't owe anyone an explanation for wanting to be more than what you were yesterday. You don't need to check in with the world before leveling up. You don't need to dilute yourself to stay relatable. Sometimes growth looks like silence, like no longer reacting, like no longer defending yourself, like quietly cutting ties with anything that feels small, like saying no without guilt, yes without doubt, and I'm done without regret. And if that offends people, so be it. Let it offend. Let it shake things up. Let it force the real ones to reveal themselves. You don't grow by staying in familiar places. You grow by outgrowing them. You don't need a committee. You need courage. You don't need 100 yeses. You just need one, yours. You're not here to prove anything. You're here to become everything. So the next time you catch yourself pausing, hesitating, shrinking, second-guessing, remember this. You're not too much. You're not moving too fast. You're not being selfish. You're just finally choosing yourself. And that's not rebellion. That's growth. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to say no to what no longer fits. You are allowed to evolve out of people, places, and mindsets. You are allowed to change. Don't let anyone guilt you into staying where you no longer belong. Don't let small minds convince you to shrink a big life. Don't let old narratives stop you from writing a new chapter. Because at the end of the day, the only permission slip you need is the one you write for yourself. Everyone has a plan. Everyone has a dream. Everyone has something to say about what they're going to do. But here's the truth that most people avoid. Talking doesn't build anything. Explaining doesn't create results. Hoping doesn't move the needle. Only execution does. We spend so much of our energy telling the world what we're about to do. I'm working on this. I'm planning to start that. I've got something coming soon. But months go by, years, and the dream still lives in the talk, still exists only in the mind, still floats around in excuses, still clings to potential instead of progress. Here's what most people forget. Potential without action becomes regret. The world doesn't remember the one who meant to do something, it remembers the one who did. And this is why execution matters more than any explanation ever will. You don't need to convince anyone what you're capable of, just show them. Let the results speak for you. Let the consistency be your proof. Let your growth be your statement. There is no louder sound than quiet progress. You don't have to announce every move. You don't need to respond to every doubt. You don't have to clap back at criticism or defend your delay. Just keep building, keep planting, keep rising, in silence if you must. Because in the end, the most powerful response to disbelief is success. Not the kind you post about for validation, the kind that grows over time, deeply rooted, undeniable, unshakable. It's easy to talk. It's easy to post. It's easy to brand and broadcast and promise. But it's the work, the lonely, unglamorous, disciplined work that changes everything. That's what turns intentions into accomplishments. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. That's what builds the life you say you want. Execution requires sacrifice. It demands focus. It asks for your time, your energy, your willingness to go unseen for a season while you build what others said you couldn't. Are you willing to go without applause for a while? Are you willing to stop seeking validation and start seeking alignment? Are you willing to stop explaining and just start executing? Because here's the thing, people will doubt you until they can't ignore you. They will question you until the proof is in their face. They will talk until you outwork, outgrow, and outlast the noise. And when that day comes, when they finally see what you've built, they won't remember what you said, they'll remember what you did. So make your discipline louder than your declarations. Make your habits louder than your hype. Make your consistency louder than your commentary. Let your schedule tell the truth. Let your calendar be the evidence. Let your results be the only speech you ever give again. We live in a world that's addicted to announcements. Big things coming soon. Watch this space. I'm about to blow up. But most of those promises vanish because they were based on excitement, not commitment. Temporary motivation, not lifelong discipline. The hype fades, but the work remains. You don't need to go viral to be valuable. You don't need to be seen to be successful. You just need to move day after day, brick by brick, in silence if you must. Build in the dark, grind in the quiet, rise behind the scenes. And when it's time, let the results walk in and do the talking for you. It's not about perfection. It's about progression. It's not about the speed. It's about the direction. It's not about showing everyone you have a plan. It's about working the plan until the plan becomes real. Don't waste your time convincing people of your potential. Use that energy to become what you keep saying you are, because no one can debate the proof. No one can argue with transformation. No one can ignore execution. That's where the power is, not in the talk, not in the show, not in the explanation, but in the doing. So next time you feel the urge to explain, to post, to promise, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, would I rather tell them or show them? Then get back to work. You can't become who you're meant to be while trying to keep everyone else happy. There's a high cost to people pleasing, and most of the time, that cost is you, your peace, your energy, your focus, your purpose. It's one of the most silent forms of self-betrayal because on the surface, it looks like kindness. It looks like being generous, cooperative, easy to work with. But inside, it drains you because you're constantly shape-shifting into someone else's expectation. You're constantly over-explaining decisions that were never theirs to approve. You're constantly giving pieces of yourself to people who wouldn't do the same for you. And all of that energy you keep pouring into keeping others satisfied, it's energy that should have been poured into building, into healing, into creating, into aligning, into living your truth, not managing someone else's opinion of it. You weren't born to be agreeable. You were born to be authentic. When you keep choosing peace externally, by saying yes when you mean no, when you go along just to get along, when you silence your needs so others can be loud with theirs, you create war internally. You start to resent yourself. You lose clarity. You lose direction. And most dangerously, you lose your center. Because your life begins to revolve around staying in the good graces of people who don't even value your truth. And that, more than anything, is what kills momentum. Not failure, not rejection, but the constant detour that comes from trying to make sure everyone is comfortable with your choices. Let's get honest for a moment. Not everyone is supposed to understand your journey. Not everyone is supposed to like it. And that's okay. Your calling isn't up for community discussion. Your next level isn't a group decision. If they don't get it, that doesn't mean you're wrong. It means they're not assigned to this chapter of your life. You cannot build in peace while living for approval. You cannot grow while constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering if someone is upset with your boundaries. You cannot rise while staying anchored to someone else's emotional comfort. And here's the truth most people don't want to face. The ones who guilt you for having boundaries were the ones benefiting from your lack of them. The ones who accuse you of being selfish now are often the ones who had unlimited access to your time, your energy, your resources, and never once asked how you were doing. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to be aligned with your values, aligned with your peace, aligned with your peace, aligned with your higher self. That means saying no when it's uncomfortable. That means disappointing people who had a version of you in their head that no longer exists. That means protecting your energy like it's sacred because it is. You only get so much time. You only get so much focus. You only get so much emotional bandwidth. Why would you waste it trying to convince someone to accept a version of you that they're not ready to see? Why would you drain yourself trying to fit into a space that was never designed to hold your future? Your energy is the currency of your evolution. Where you give it, who you give it to, and how you allow it to be used, that determines what your life becomes. You can't hand your energy to everyone and still expect to have enough left to chase your dreams. You can't be everything for everyone and still be something for yourself. So let go of the need to explain yourself to people who choose not to understand. Let go of the need to soften your truth for people who are uncomfortable with clarity. Let go of the need to constantly check in and make sure you haven't upset someone by simply being you. You're allowed to choose rest over obligation. You're allowed to choose silence over explanation. You're allowed to walk away from people who confuse control with love. This isn't about being cold. This isn't about being selfish. This is about being responsible. for your energy, your life, your growth. Because what you focus on grows. And if you keep focusing on pleasing people who never truly see you, you'll build a life that looks good on the outside and feels hollow on the inside. Your power is not in being agreeable. It's in being rooted in who you are, rooted in where you're going, rooted in your worth, even when others don't recognize it. So no more apologizing for choosing yourself. No more justifying your boundaries. No more guilt for saying no. No more shrinking to be digestible. You don't need to manage anyone else's discomfort. You don't need to soften your light for anyone else's shadow. You just need to protect your energy like your life depends on it. Because it does. In a world that constantly pushes you to be liked, to fit in, to trend, choosing purpose over popularity is one of the boldest things you can do. Because popularity is easy to chase. It's addictive. It feeds your ego, gives you that hit of validation, that sense that you're accepted, that you're seen. But the truth is, popularity is fleeting. It shifts with trends. It bends to public opinion. It depends on approval. And if you live for it, you will die without it. Your purpose, on the other hand, your true purpose is eternal. It doesn't change with opinions. It doesn't shrink when you're misunderstood. It doesn't fade when the spotlight moves on. And yet so many people trade their calling for claps. They abandon their mission because someone didn't like their latest post. They dilute their message to stay digestible. They compromise their integrity to stay included. But what does it matter if the whole world claps for a version of you that isn't even real? What's the value of being liked by thousands if you've betrayed yourself in the process? At the end of the day, it's not about who liked you. It's about what you built. It's about whether you stayed true to the vision that woke you up in the middle of the night. It's about whether you honored your inner voice when the world was yelling at you to conform. See, popularity seeks the spotlight. Purpose creates its own light. Popularity follows the crowd. Purpose leads the crowd, even if it walks alone. And yes, it's lonely sometimes. Yes, you'll be questioned. Yes, you'll lose people. Yes, it will sting when they don't support you, when they whisper behind your back, when they stop calling because you're no longer playing small. But choosing purpose means choosing peace over performance. It means choosing alignment over applause. It means waking up every day knowing that even if no one claps, you're doing the work that matters. Because the ones who changed the world weren't the most liked, they were the most committed. They didn't chase acceptance, they chased meaning. They didn't crave followers, they walked in truth. You have to ask yourself, do I want to be seen or do I want to serve? Do I want to impress people or do I want to impact lives? Do I want approval or do I want authenticity? Because you cannot have both. There will be moments when your truth makes people uncomfortable. Moments when your vision threatens their mediocrity. Moments when your presence, your peace, your discipline irritates those still committed to distraction. But if your goal is to be liked by everyone, you will end up loved by no one, not even yourself. People-pleasing is the enemy of purpose, because to walk in purpose, you have to say no. No to shortcuts, no to superficial praise, no to anything that pulls you away from your core. You have to be willing to disappoint some people to stay loyal to your mission. You have to be okay with being misunderstood. You have to learn to be at peace when you're not invited, not celebrated, not reposted, not applauded. Because real power doesn't need a platform. It just needs a reason. And your reason must be bigger than likes, bigger than followers, bigger than recognition, bigger than the noise. When you know why you're here, you stop asking for permission to take up space. You stop shrinking for applause. You stop performing for people who wouldn't notice if you disappeared tomorrow. Purpose grounds you. It keeps you focused when the distractions come. It reminds you that your work is sacred, even if it's unseen. It gives you the strength to keep building when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when no one understands. You weren't born to be popular. You were born to be powerful. And real power, it doesn't pander. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase clout. It builds, it serves, it uplifts, it transforms. So stop measuring your worth by how many agree with you. Stop checking your value against trends and temporary applause. Stop aiming for the surface when your soul was meant to go deep. Because popularity fades, but purpose, when lived with courage and consistency, becomes a legacy. And legacy isn't loud, it's lasting.